Okay, back to part 2 of date with slashes. I'm on the edge of my seat here, waiting to see how this will finish up. Okay, first thing we did here is there's 4 variables. One we didn't make, this was already here, but there's a variable D that stands for the date object. That's that full date timestamp thing. And then we made our custom variables, one for month that uses the getMonth method to pull that from the date, which is D. And then we made a variable called day, which pulls that from the date object, which is D, by the getDate method. And then we use the getFullYear method to pull the year from D, which is the date. Okay, so we have all that stuff. Now we got to figure out how to write it into our HTML page. Now we already have this thing called today's date equals document.getElementById demo. So this is actually, grabbing this paragraph up here. So it's grabbing that, and that's where we're going to write our whatever our final thing is. And our final thing is called today's date. We already created a variable for that. So inside today's date, that area, what's going to be there, we're going to do inner HTML, except we're not going to do this. That was before when it was just getting the 5. What we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to start with a string. And we could go back to Firefox and look, and let's see. I don't have my original one. But it says, that's the one that says, like, today's date is. So we're going to go back and do that. So we're going to put here, and in quotes, and we're going to put today's. And I thought I should have apostrophe there, but they didn't have on their code, so it doesn't matter for now. But today's date is, and then I'm going to put a space and finish my string. Remember, for strings, even spaces you have to include in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to concatenate. That means we're going to add a variable. So we're going to say today's date for space is, and the first thing that's going to go there, we're going to use a plus to concatenate. And notice the plus has to go outside the quotes. So what we're going to do, the first thing is going to be the month. So we're just going to put month plus, and then you might be thinking the day, but it's not the day. We're going to put more quotes, and we're going to put a /. Okay? And then we're going to put a plus again, because we're concatenating, and we're going to put day, because that's our variable. That's where we're putting this now, and a plus, and then we're going to put quotes / quote. And then the last thing we're going to put is year, because year stands for full year. Now remember to put your plus signs in there. If you forget any little thing, it's not going to work. I'll put my plus here. And then if you want to put like a period at the end, you could put that in between quotes. So all our text string stuff is in between quotes. Today's day is, my 2 slashes, and then the period at the end. Okay? And it should basically go into the demo, which is the ID up here. So that's where that should go when this function is run when we click the button. So it's running the my function button, and it's running that script. So everything should work. I'm going to save this by doing Command S, and I'm going to go back to Firefox. I don't have to reopen in the browser. I could just refresh it, and that's good so far. It's saying click the button to display today's date in slashes, and I'll try it. And there it is, except it's saying 1/5/2014. And today is 2/5/2014. Now, if you remember, going back here to the methods, which one? Month returns a month 0 through 11. A lot of lists of things or arrays in JavaScript starts with a 0. 0 is the first thing. So that's not the way we do our months. We don't call January 0 and February 1. We have to add 1 to that. So that's an easy fix. We could go back to our code. And all we have to do is just update. We're not going to do it here. We're going to update our year. Since we have our year variable, we're basically just going to say, and once you declare the variable, once you use this var keyword, you don't have to use it again. We already declared it, so you could just say year, because we already have it, and you're just going to say year equals, and you could say, not year, I'm sorry, month. This is month. Now, I could put it right under here. It doesn't matter where I put it, but I'll just put month equals. And it's basically going to be month equals month plus 1. That's it. And there's a shortcut, and I'll put a semicolon here to end my statement. But I'll put some comment. I'll just put a comment here. Can be written. You'll see a lot of shorthand for this. Can be written as month plus equals month. Or plus equals 1, I'm sorry. And that's just a shorter way to write it. Instead of month equals month plus 1, they just say month plus or equals 1. And that means month adding 1 to it. So either way, we'll do it this way. I like to see how it looks in longhand first before I start writing shorthand. That's just me. So we'll see if that works. So we're declaring what month is. It's pulling the month, and it should pull a 1 because it's February, and that's basically number 1. But then we're redefining it, saying, well, month is going to equal whatever month is plus 1. So that should add 1 to it. So now when I save this and I go back to Firefox and I try it again, or I should refresh it first. Refresh it. There it's showing my code. And there it is, 2/5/2014. Okay? So that's about it. That's all we had to do there. The only thing new we had to do is we had to set some variables. We set 3 for month, day, and year. We used their perspective methods to pull that from date. That's why we had to do d.getMonth and because we're pulling it from this date. We're starting with the date object because that's something that's already defined in JavaScript, and then we're pulling it from there. And we're just using the d here to just make it easier to write our code to pull it out of there. So we're getting the date object, we're modifying it, and we're pulling these things from here. And that one was pretty easy. To do things like the full month, like writing out the month, because these things return numbers. So putting numbers in slashes is pretty easy. Okay. Now putting the days of the week, that's a little harder, and putting the name of the month, that's a little harder because we actually have to create an array so that we know that 0 equals January and 1 equals February and so on, and 0 equals Sunday and 1 equals Monday and all that. So that's what we're going to do on some of these other things, but this is the easiest one. So we started with this. So that's about it. So this is our HTML code. We basically have an embedded script in here. I think last time I said this was embedded, but this is embedded. That means the script is in the code, and this is kind of inline, meaning it's right inside an HTML tag. And I wouldn't call that inline. That's not JavaScript, and we're running this function through an HTML button. Okay, so that's it. So hopefully that helped a little bit, and as we start working with this, and maybe it'll even help with the first two, with some of the alerts and some of the other date one, where it's the one where we have an exercise where we just put today as the 5th, and we have to append like the th to it. So anyway, I'm going to stop there.